Hello everyone and welcome back to Baron's Den for Hobby Corner. So in Hobby Corner I thought it'd be cool to catch up with what's going on in the hobby over here at Baron's Den, and of course if anyone wants to post in the comments what they're up to as well, we can kind of share what's going on. So really for me, when Blood Bowl in the last month or so, it's been completely dominated by Necromantic horror. I think I've said it often before, Necromantic horror are my second favourite team in the game. And it just so happened that in all three areas of Blood Bowl that I've been playing, I've been utilising the Necromantic Horror. That's because it's the new team in Blood Bowl 3. And like I said, one of my all-time favourites, so I do like to run them a fair bit. Right, anyway, let's move on. So, first of all, Blood Bowl 3. I've just finished my 10-game run with the Necromantic Horror team. And we can see a few of my dudes around here. Down here we have Didier Dogborough. I should probably explain that. Basically, my granddad, when I was young and playing Blood Bowl, couldn't say Didier Drogba when he was playing, and he used to say, "Oh, look!" He'd point at the video print and say, "Oh, look! I can see Dogborough scored again." We were like, "No, it's Drogba," and he still called him Dogborough. So my dad started calling him Dogborough. And of course, when I had to name a dog, well, it was the obvious choice. We played 10 games, we won 5, drew 2, lost 3, which is slightly better than average run, but a very average win rate. They're doing pretty well. We've won the last 2, both were against Necromantic Horror. So there has been improvement, and this is currently the team as it stands. So we've got 2 flesh golems, both with block, and both, you know, an MVP and a casualty away from getting that second level up, which we'd like to put guard on one and mighty blow on the other. We have 2 blodge werewolves now, which is good, and one that's already cooked up another 6-star player points. We're going to go all the way to a stat up for those 2 next to see what they can get. Then unfortunately we have 1 wraith who hasn't moved along much yet, but only a casualty away from getting a skill, and the other wraith has guard, and that's really useful. A sidestepping foul appearance player with sidestep just means that he can be a real harassment and difficult to shift. Plus, he's obviously starting with block as well. Then we have Vorag Black Talon. Now he was murdered basically. That's why he's on 0. He hasn't played many games. But Caliban has got block and sidestep already, and he's saving up for a stat up as well. So he's already pretty useful. I am worried that he's going to die before I get there. You always feel like the ghouls are, with any of the Necromantic Horror team, you always feel like you're going to lose some to death more than you would in other teams, because you can't take an apothecary. And you'd think the 4+ regen would happen quite a bit. Well, as if you watch any of my 10 games, you will see regen does not always happen. And then we've just got 4 linemen. Zombie linemen, including one which I haven't bothered naming yet, which is why he's called Felix Eat Dead, and Sammy Scarecrow, who's got all the extra bits for the zombie that we picked up with leftover warpstone. So yeah, that's the team. It's cooking along nicely, and I think we're going to carry on the 10-game run with the instead of stopping after 10 games like we have with other races. I think I'd like to carry on with the Necromantic Horror because I'm enjoying it. So that was on Blood Bowl 3, and in the tabletop I attended a tournament. So I went to the Bonehead Podcast Summer Team Tournament. So big shout out to the Bonehead Podcast, brilliant YouTube channel. Please go and have a look at the stuff they make. Certainly captured my interest in Blood Bowl again, and I remember discovering them when I was looking for more information on Blood Bowl 2020 when the rumours hit. And I've been a big fan ever since, so check out their YouTube channel and shop. Please attend the tournaments as well, because they are so welcoming but very entertaining as well. And the location they use for their tournaments, in Toyment in Poole, is a fantastic treasure trove of goodies with a lovely playing area upstairs. for you to play your Blood Bowl matches. So yes, do check out the Entoyment website as well. So yeah, I went there. I was part of a 3-man team, and yeah, we played 3 games. I managed to win 1, draw 1, and lose 1, unfortunately. And these are my Mordheim Undertakers in tabletop form. Yeah, some of them you'll recognise. So Caliban, there in the middle, and Sammy Scarecrow is an actual Scarecrow. Oh, there, Sammy Scarecrow with the Scarecrow's hat on. So yes, the inspiration for my Blood Bowl 3 team has come from the models that I had first on the tabletop. So here's the team. We've got the 2 flesh columns. We have the Ghoul Runners. Yep, there he is, Caliban with his pumpkin head on. We have the 2 Wraiths. Obviously, I don't have all of the farming goodies for the Soul Reaper that he does on Blood Bowl 3. 2 Werewolves, and Ghost is actually the same colour as Ghost from Game of Thrones. But obviously we haven't had the chance to have white fur in Blood Bowl 3 yet. And the zombies that make up the rest of the team. So, in our first game we played High Elves. Now this was a beautifully painted High Elf team. Really nicely put together. I think mainly using the Shadow Warriors set from Warhammer Fantasy / Age of Sigmar. But yeah, really cool team. And we managed to win. This was our opening game. We managed to win. And we were losing for quite a while. If memory serves me, they went and scored quite early on. I tried to equalise, and I nearly did, but didn't quite get it in the first half. And then in the second half, I managed to score midway through, thinking, on a team tournament, a draw wouldn't be the worst result. I'm better to draw than to risk it and lose. I did go on and risk it in the end and play quite aggressively and managed to pop the ball out and score a winning touchdown in the end. So I think I was lucky in that instance, but I think this is the game where I did double skull re-roll into double skull 2 different times. So my unhealthy relationship with re-rolls continues. So that was against High Elves, and it was a win. Second game was against Orcs. Now, Orcs were the team I was, one of the teams I was dreading playing, just because I kind of feel like with Necromantic you can mix it up with most teams, but they haven't quite got enough skills, I don't think, to mix it up with heavy bash teams, particularly ones that have already got high strength and can get a favourable skill package like the Orcs. I think even Dwarves would be better, but Orcs having those strength 4 and 5 and the Troll at strength 5 meant that I was worried about this game. And I can tell you now, a good chunk of the entire game was played in about this area here. We just managed to tag players and survive hits, sidestep, foul appearance. All these things were kicking in, and the Orcs couldn't get it past the halfway line, and it got bogged down. And the second half, I think, was a very similar story, and it ended up in a bit of a board draw. Which again, part of the team tournament, I thought, well, I've won 1, drawn 1. We're not in a bad place. And I think one of my other teammates had won their second game as well, so we were looking okay going into our final game, which was against Skaven. And I thought, oh, here we go. As a big Skaven fan, I don't think Necromantic Skaven is too much of a tricky proposition, as in they're not a bogey team, certainly for Necromantic. We've got werewolves and ghouls who've got the speed to hunt down gutter runners, and they're very flimsy. Well, in this game, it just shows you what you should and shouldn't dread. This Skaven just rolled incredibly well, and I could not break armour on these boys. And their gutter runners were happy to pop around. They'd managed to, I think, 1 die knock the ball out on me at one point, and it would always just seem to land in that really favourable place for a gutter runner to pick up. And the thing with Skaven, I think, because I've got movement 9, 2+ gutters, as long as you're not rolling 1s, you've always got a good chance of switching the play. And again, my opposition played very well. I struggled with a bit with the dice, and yeah, unfortunately, I think they went 2-0 up, and that meant that I couldn't get the win in the end. I can't remember if I actually made it 2-1 or not in the end. But suffice to say, I managed to complete the day with a 1 win, 1 draw and 1 loss. And actually, of the 3 teams, I'd have thought Skaven would have been the one I could have got a win with. Just shows sometimes. teams don't always play as you expect. And yeah, so not too bad. In the end, our team finished around middle of the park because a couple of my teammates lost as well in their third games. Obviously, with a Swiss ruling, the more games you win, you're pitted against other players who are winning. And yeah, we did lose a couple of our final games, which meant that we finished around middle of the park, which I was pretty happy with. So this was the team that I took. 11 players, 2 rerolls, all the positionals, and then I stuck block on both werewolves and a ghoul, guard on the flesh golem and a wraith, and then tackle on the other wraith. So a bit different to the Blood Bowl 3 setup because now I've got tackle involved, and I thought that was important to pick because you just never know who you're going to play. In the end, I did play against High Elves who had dodge, and I did play against Skaven who had dodge, and even the Orcs had a goblin. So fortunately, tackle was really useful in this game. Guard was useful, and so was block. Would I do anything differently next time? With this skill package, which allowed me to take either 6 primary skills or 5 primaries and a secondary, I probably wouldn't change much, you know. I think it really is helpful to have guard on the flesh golem, so he's, you know, a high strength player who isn't going to be knocked down as easily, so he can be standing on his feet, standing firm and spreading that guard around. The only thing I might have done differently is just not bothered with anything on the flesh golems and moved a skill onto the second ghoul, such as another block one, a wrestle person. I could have gone with sneaky git. So there's a few options there to improve the ghoul. Now obviously if it was matched play, which is what Games Workshop run at their tournaments, I would get 8 skills, and that means I could still keep guard on that flesh golem, put mighty blow or block on this one, and then still give that ghoul that other skill. Oh yes, and I had enough to have 2 assistant coaches, which I can't remember now. I've got a feeling I did need to roll, and I still failed. Got 1 opportunity, and I still failed, which is fine. There's not really much else I could do. So yeah, that was my tabletop experience with Necromantic Horror this month. And finally, on to Fumble. So I took part in a Fumble League over the last 6 to 8 weeks, and it was great. I'd never used Fumble before. I'd always been put off by the wonderful graphics that you can see. And when I say put off, it wasn't because I thought the graphics were bad, because yes, it's an very old program that's running it. You know, the little sprites moving around a board. But it wasn't the look of it that bothered me. It was my worry that I was going to find it just really difficult to use, and so I couldn't play my normal game because of making silly mistakes. And that was very much borne out in the very first game. So in the first game, I played against the Khorne team, the Durham Renegades, and it was an absolute horror show for many reasons. So first of all, it was my first experience of Fumble, so I did misclick. There were times where I couldn't tell if someone was stunned, or I'd left somebody thinking, oh, I'll pick them up in a minute, or I can do this other action, and then go to pick them up and think, oh no, they were stunned. So it might have been somebody I was saving for a blitz, or someone I was saving for an assist. Coupled with the fact that my opposition was an extremely good Khorne player who positioned his players really, really well. Coupled with the fact that he rolled pretty well with his frenzies, you know, he played well. He made sure that he didn't risk things too much, or, you know, didn't frenzy his way into trouble. So he did play really well, but equally, you know, the dice were going well as well. I had like skulls and both downs all over the place, so it was literally like if it could have gone wrong, it went wrong in that game. I didn't deserve to win, even if it hadn't been my first game of Fumble. I didn't deserve to win. I played badly as well, and it was just one of those things where just everything went wrong. So after that game, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm cut out for Fumble. It's not allowing me to play Blood Bowl the way I want to, because I'm so poor at, you know, managing the UI. And then we played the Four Farthings next, which was an Old World Alliance team. And again, I started a bit slow, but by then I had started to get used to it, and by the end we managed to pick up a win. I've got a feeling that happened because there was a fortuitous bounce into a werewolf's hands who could just do 1 3+ dodge away and score. Well, I don't know if it was that game, but I've just have a feeling that the winning touchdown, was fairly fortuitous, but that luckily gave me a bit of a confidence boost then, and we had a bit of a run then, because then we played Rat Machine 2 in what was a really tricky game, but we managed to get a draw, and that was the team that's actually made the playoffs in this league, so I was pretty pleased with that. And then we faced Frodo's Fodders with his halflings, and got a win there as well. So after 4 games, we'd gone to 2 wins, a draw, and a loss, and 3 games in a row where we hadn't lost. So I was actually starting to feel much better, and thought, hang on, if we can cause an upset against one of my last 3 opponents, a couple of my last 3 opponents, we might be able to qualify. And then I was given a reality check by the Auckland Raiders, ran by Greenskin Phil, who's an excellent coach. And this team was redrafted from a previous league, so it was tough. We had plenty of money for inducements, which I think I was able to use Bryce the Slice, as I didn't quite have enough for a wizard. And it was a brutal affair. I think that was the game where my werewolf was killed, my block werewolf. I think, ironically, he died just from failing a rush or a dodge or something. But no, Greenskin Phil played really well, and the Auckland Raiders fully deserved their win. And following that, I had a dreadful game against the Ebvale Executioners as well, who, again, rolled superbly well, played well, and absolutely battered me. I think I lost that 3 or 4-0 in the end. So yeah, 2 games with a bit of a reality check, and then we finished off with I managed to get a win against the Bearded Ankle Biters, the Gnome team, which I did have sympathy for, because Gnomes just seem really hard to play with. They're so flimsy, and they want to fight because of their skills, but they just can't stay in it. So I haven't played Gnomes enough to cast too much of an opinion yet, but based on that, and I didn't think the player was doing much wrong. We were both taking risks, so by then we knew we couldn't qualify for the playoffs, but nevertheless, Gnomes do seem like a challenge. So this is how I ended the season. Obviously, sorry that I can't reposition these players, or maybe I can and I just don't know how. Fumble. But yeah, so we've got block on a werewolf, block on the flesh golem, block and sidestep on a ghoul, tackle and on a wraith, and guard on a wraith, and then block on the other werewolf. So particularly fairly recently, these players have suddenly started to step up, and I think were I to redraft this team, as long as it wasn't too punishing on the redraft, I think we'll do better in the second season. So yeah, looking forward to potentially taking this team into another season and seeing whether we can push on from what we managed to do this season. So that's it for my hobby. Haven't done too much in the way of painting or building, because we've been fairly busy playing, and obviously life, work, and children, and all sorts of other things going on in the world as well. But yeah, please let me know whatever you're up to in the comments with your hobby at the moment, and yeah, I'll report back in a month to see what's going on in Baron's World of Blood Bowl then. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want more content, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much. Bye for now.